There we go. Okay, so starting in standing, just give you a second to tap your screens and then we will begin. So, as always, I think it's really important, even though I know we're not here for too long, but I really think it's important for us to just bring that focus back into centre. So, if you wish to, you can close your eyes. Maybe you find your hands just resting on your lower tummy or chest and lower tummy, and just bring that focus into your breathing as we aim to observe our breathing and our movement for the next half an hour. And knowing that the world around us is going to try and distract us and take us elsewhere, but we always recognize those thoughts, recognize those feelings, and then bring ourselves back to our center just by bringing your focus into your breath. So just enjoy a few more slow, steady breaths in. Lovely, and out. Okay, opening your eyes if they are closed, relax your hands by your side. Carry on with that deep breath as we bring the hands up to the side and then just gently find them placed just behind your ears as we tap the ears. And then we slowly bring the arms back down again, just following that nice flow of breath. So inhale, tapping behind the ears. Exhale, arms come down. Lovely. Keep it going. Inhale. Tapping behind the ears. Exhale, arms come down. Beautiful. We'll do this twice more. Inhale. Now start to think about drawing the tummy in towards the spine as we move the arms. Keep that gentle tug of your lower tummy just to really find that tension around your waist. And then we're going to add on to this sequence. So this movement is called the corkscrew. So you've got your lovely bottle of wine, you've popped the corkscrew in, and now you're going to bring the cork out. So shrug your shoulders up to your ears, and then push the arms of the corkscrew back down as you drop your shoulders down and bring the arms down to the side. So really feeling the difference between that elevation of the shoulders. So breath in, little sniff as we breathe the shoulders up. Exhale, drop the shoulders down and continue to exhale as the arms come down and away. So that little breath that we worked on the other week, where we breathe in and then sniff, exhale. Lovely. Keep that center drawn in. Breathe in, sniff, shoulders up. Exhale, drop the shoulders and drop the arms. Now we're going to add in a heel raise now. So we come up with the hands, tap behind the head, shrug the shoulders, lift the heels, lower the shoulders, and release the arms back down. Beautifully done. Fab. Let me see your corkscrews. Good work. Hi, Nicole. Good to see you. Thanks for joining. Super. We'll go for 3 more like this. So we bring the hands up, shrug the shoulders, work at your own pace, keep that tummy gently drawn in. Really want you to focus on the difference between your shoulder position when the shoulders are elevated, short necks, and when they're dropped down, and just feel the tension release. Okay, we're going to hold at the top, so lifting the shoulders, lifting the heels, but then drop the shoulders down but keep the heels lifted if you can. Hi Joe, if you just got home from work, look at that, straight into Pilates. Jump on the mat. Okay, we've got our heels lifted, we've got our tummies drawn in, and we're holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, drop the heels, keep the hands where they are. Now, at any point, if your arms start to become tired, shake them out. Yeah, I get it. They get heavy really quickly, but then we join them back in. Now, we're aiming to keep these elbows nice and open by using the mid-back. So this area of the back, we're drawing the shoulder blades together to lengthen through the elbows and open the front of the chest. And now we take it into a twist. So engaging through center, breathe in. Exhale and rotate to look to one side. Now try and keep your belly button pointing forwards. So we're just twisting from the rib cage. So it shouldn't feel like you can twist that far, quite a tight twist. And every time you come back to the center, bring your focus back to your shoulders, because as we twist, what often happens is these shoulders creep up, and we want to keep that neck nice and long. Stretching those arms out at any point if you need to, looking good. See if you can keep that pelvis nice and steady. So it's as if your pelvis has just been held in a vice as we twist from left to right. Okay, now we're going to take the opposite heel, no, sorry, the same heel off the floor. So if you're twisting to the right, your right heel peels off the floor. And then if you're twisting to the left, your left heel peels off the floor. Working on that twist, really engage through your core, tummy to spine. This is your first option. Your second option is to take the heel off the floor and then float the leg up into tabletop. Now you will find you can twist a little bit further now as the pelvis changes position, but really focus on drawing that tummy into spine. So we're trying to shorten the opposite ribs to the opposite pelvis, this kind of movement. And then here to really corkscrew that waist. Beautiful. One more on each side. Heel raise or standing balance. And then we are going to balance. So twist to one side, lift the heel off the mat or lift the foot off the mat, and we balance here. Now really draw your tummy in towards your spine. That's going to hold the weight of your leg. If your toe is on the floor, really light pressure. Imagine a marshmallow, try not to squash it, and twist as much as you can. I really want you to feel that corkscrew through your spine as you twist and hold for 3, 2, and 1. Good stuff. Touch down. Come back to center, check in on those shoulders, yeah, drop them down, shake those arms out, absolutely, yeah, lifting the heel, we twist to the second side and maybe take it into a standing balance, and we hold. Good work, well done. Doing what you can. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Beautiful. Come back to the center and release the hands and roll through the shoulders. Good stuff. Now we are going to bring those hands back into that position behind heads. If you're finding that it's becoming uncomfortable, you can place your hands in front of your cheeks, and if you really don't want to do it, then just cross over your shoulders, okay, or come in between the two. But if you're ready, we're going to reset, just check in on those shoulders, and we're going to take it into a squat from here. So we sit back into the heels, push the hips behind us as we drop down into squat, push through the floor and come back up to stand. Now your options really are how low you take your squat. So if your knees aren't comfortable with a deep squat, then we just keep it fairly shallow. And then if your knees are happy to, take it a little bit deeper. Now the way that we can be kinder on these knees is by making sure that most of this weight is going behind us, yeah? So we push the hips back, making sure those little toes can have a bit of a wiggle. If we take too much weight into the front of the feet, what happens is we overload the kneecaps, and the knees, they are able to deal with that. But if you've got arthritic knees or a little bit of irritability at the front of the knee, then it won't like that additional load. The second thing to think about is the positioning of the nose. I was going to say the nose then, the knees in relation to your toes. So making sure that those knees don't collapse in when you come into your squat. Otherwise, we're going to overload the inner compartment of the knee. So try and get your knees to run through the middle of your feet in line with your second toe. You've got those little marshmallows resting underneath the arches of your feet. Don't squash them. We're looking good. Hopefully you're nice and warm now. You've probably done about 30 squats. So let's see if we can do a few more. Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, and if that wasn't enough, we're going to hold this next one. Okay, so sitting into your squat. Now think about the top line of your body. These elbows are going to be lifting up towards the ceiling, so we're using the strength in the upper back to draw the elbows away from the floor. We're drawing through from center, so tummy to spine, and we hold here. 5, 4, 3, 2. Now keep holding or we can add the twist back in. So left shoulder to right knee, keeping looking down towards the floor as you twist right shoulder to left knee. Keep that tummy drawn in towards the spine at all times. Keep those elbows lifted. It's as if you're rotating on a stick. The only visual thing I can think of at the minute is a kebab. So twisting round. That's it, Liz. Yeah, think a little bit more about, rather than looking from left to right, think about twisting your spine. So you've got that stick going down the center of your head, that's better, through your spine, and you're rotating on the axis of that kebab skewer. Very nice. Okay, 2 more either side. 1 more either side, drawing away from the floor with your tummy to spine, and then come back to the center and slowly push yourself back up to stand and release those arms. Good stuff. Give your shoulders a nice roll. Yeah, shaking out. Beautifully done. Okay, sometimes I feel like I should plan my cues a little bit more because a really strange thing came to mind then. But it works. Okay, we're going to come down onto the mat. We'll do 1 roll down just to open up the backs, and then we've got some lovely stuff to do on the floor. So just take your time with this one because we will only do 1. So really want you to visualize every bone in your spine. See if you can get that lovely idea of every segment rolling on top of the next. So starting nice and tall. Begin when you're ready. Breath in. And then exhale, peel down through your beautiful spine. Every segment moves 1 at a time, slowly down, rolling, 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 until we get to the bottom and we hang for a moment. So soft knees, and then as you hang there, you might even start to feel that you can straighten the legs, or maybe just sink a little bit deeper into that forwards fold. Looking great, everyone. Maybe even thinking about bringing a little bit of weight into the forefoot. So you're just shifting forwards. If you were stood against a wall, bring your hips off the wall. And we're here for 3, 2, and 1. Good stuff. Okay, coming down onto the mat, just bending your knees, walking yourself down. We're going to come into a seated position to start with. Now, if you're sat in your living room or anywhere really, if there's a chair and you'd rather do this exercise sat on a chair, that's absolutely fine. Or you can raise yourself off of the floor slightly by sitting on a pillow, because we're going to be doing some sitting down, which can be really difficult if your hips are tight, but also something that's important to work on. So the start position is sitting with the legs out in front, knees bent. Elle, just take your feet a little bit wider for me. And we're just going to start with some pelvic tilts. So have your hands just behind your knees and then just roll on and off your pelvis. We're not taking it into that full roll down exercise that we sometimes do. We're just working on feeling the difference between lifting through the spine, growing tall, rolling forwards on the pelvis, and then slumping around the pelvis, creating that little C shape at your lower back. Notice how hard it is to be here, tall, and how naturally our bodies just fall into that slump position. And then maybe think about a gentle draw of tummy to spine to help you sit up nice and tall, and then release that tension as you drop back. If you're feeling it a lot here in your kind of groin or the front of your hips, what that means is that the hip flexors are just trying to help really, which isn't always a bad thing, but we really want to use that connection with core. Good stuff. 2 more. So notice the difference between that slump, and I want you to really come back to that every now and again. So if you feel like you've slumped down, then see if you can sit yourself up nice and tall, as if a piece of string is lengthening your spine up towards the ceiling. Okay, bringing the hands back into that position behind the head. And again, if you don't like that, then just crossing over at your chest. Okay, we're going to go back to that spine twist. So start to think about rotating across to one side. As you come across, drawing that tummy in, using that waist to corkscrew round, come back to centre, checking in, make sure you haven't slumped down, and then twisting over to the second side. Again, so we're just spinning on that axis, so keep your spine in a nice line, and we're just rotating round from left to right. Any point, come back to the centre, give your knees a little bit of a hug, and go again. So if you were sat on a chair, you can just work on twisting in a seated position. That's not a problem at all, because I do appreciate how tricky this can be as we sit on the floor. Okay, can everybody sit up half an inch higher? Looking good, well done. Beautiful. Okay, this is your first option. Not here for much longer. Second option, we're going to go back to that idea of twisting and lifting the opposite leg. So as you twist to look to the right, see if you can float your right foot off the floor. It's not going to come too high. You might not have even seen that with my camera angle at the moment. It is literally just off the floor, a couple of inches, hover and lower. You really shorten the range of your hips here because we're quite deep into hip flexion, so your leg doesn't need to come too high. If you want to do the leg lifts, you're going to just have to take those legs nice and wide because you've got bump obviously blocking your way. Otherwise, just keep working on the twist as we go for 2 more on each side. Keep nice and tall and keep focusing on tummy drawn into spine. 1 more each side. Beautiful. And then we come back to the centre. We walk the feet back in towards us and give the backs of the knees a hug. Nice work, everybody. Tricky one, that one. Okay, we're going to come down onto the mats now. So you can either lie down, or for a nice little challenge on a Tuesday evening after a heavy bank holiday, we'll take it into slow roll down, arms out in front, and see if you can peel down onto the mat, 1 bone at a time. Keep your feet grounded. Try and resist the temptation to fall as we slowly, 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 slowly lower down. Filmed in slow motion, and gracefully rest down on the mat. Well done if you attempted that. Don't worry if you got halfway and gave up. Okay, feet down on the mat now in rest position. Just give you a minute to adjust cameras if needs be. So you've got your knees bent, feet hip distance apart. We're going to focus on the lower part and then add the twist in afterwards. So finding your neutral spine, we just do a few of those pelvic tilts again, pressing the small of the back on the mat and then easing away, feeling that lovely motion as we come into flexion and extension of the lower spine. And then just finding your neutral ground, so somewhere between those 2 positions. Just resting a small sponge there. Try not to squash that sponge. Bring your focus back to your centre. Can you gently draw your lower tummy towards your spine? And then we're going to take it into scissors. So we float 1 leg into tabletop, knee stacked over hip. Keep that tension the same in your tummy. Don't squash your sponge. Don't come off your sponge as your leg moves up and down. Alternating from left and right this evening. 1 leg tabletop, focusing on the control around the waist. We've been working on this a lot recently. That visual cue of resting a sponge in the small of your back, pressing on that sponge lightly and keeping that light pressure as the legs come up and down. And for those of you that want that little bit more, just pressurize the sponge a little bit more. So press down 10-20% more, and we take it into a little kick between the movements. So we lift 1 leg and lower the other. We scissor, hence the name of the exercise. Good. So keep going either with that slow and single leg lift and lower, or double leg lifts, switching midway. Good work. Beautiful. I like what I can see. Fab. A little bit slower, Liz. Let's really focus on testing that control. That's much better. And just watching those end points, knees over the hips. Try not to let them collapse in. Beautiful. Okay, so we're going to think now about bringing that idea of a twist back in. So if you just create a cradle with your hands and then just support your head with your hands. Now for this one, you are going to float your elbows ever so slightly off the floor. So it's not quite such an open position, just to support the head and shoulders. Let me talk you through this one and then join in when you're ready. So we're going to start with the right leg in tabletop. Now think about shortening the ribs towards the pelvis and floating the left shoulder off the mat as we twist and bring the shoulder across towards this hip. It doesn't matter how high your head comes, it might just be a little twist and lift just to peel your top of your shoulder off, or you might get the whole of your shoulder blade off the mat before we lower down and place the right foot on the floor, and then repeat on the second side. So tabletop, twist, and lower. So you can do that in stages of movement. So lift the leg, twist and lift, lower, and place the foot back down. So for those of you that joined me last week, we definitely did this face to face. I can't remember if we did this online, but we worked on this by peeling both the shoulders off the mat. Now we're working on that twist. So as you twist to the right, your right shoulder stays grounded on the floor and your left shoulder peels off the mat. Always thinking about tummy to spine, always thinking about shortening the ribs to the pelvis and not pulling the head off the floor. You should be feeling that in your abs in your waist already. For those of you that want that little bit more, we pick up the speed with the legs and we add a little bit of a twist and lift between the two movements now. So the head and shoulders stay lifted and we alternate by taking the shoulders across the body. Have a little look. Difficult to explain, probably easier for me to demonstrate. A lot harder this one, so at any point if you need to rest, just bring your feet and head down to the mat and then we go again. So we're either taking it in slow motion with that rest of the head and shoulders down in between, or we keep the head and shoulders lifted as we twist from left to right. Little push to finish this sequence as we go for 10, 9, good work, making sure you're breathing, keep those elbows wide, 8, 7, looking good, watch the positioning of your chin, try not to let it drop into your chest, 6, 5, 4, oh, you got a friend to join in, Nicole, 3, hello, 2, and 1, amazing work, crisscross really hard, give yourselves a nice hug, knees to chest, and then stretching out, bring your hands to the top of your mat and your feet to the bottom and create as much length through your body as you can. Good work, everybody. As always, I say when we do these kind of crunching movements, you do not need to do loads and loads of them to feel them if you're doing them with good technique. So well done if you got to the end of that sequence with not too many rests. Okay, we're going to finish with some side prop work. So if you bring yourself onto your side and push up to rest on your hand, so a good opportunity to strengthen the shoulder girdle, collarbone, really good for shoulder stability as well. If you find taking the weight through your wrist a challenge, you can always take it through your forearm. Now the key with this is creating a big space between you and the mat. So push through your hand and lift the underside of your ribs away. You've got that lovely candle resting underneath you. Can you lift off of the candle? Okay, tummy drawn to spine. Place your hand behind your head, back in this kind of supported head position. Okay, open through the fronts of the shoulders. Now this may be where you stay. Really work on that underside arm pressing into the floor, creating a nice long line through your neck and shoulders. And then if you can, we're going to twist. So breathe in, and then as you exhale, we're going to rotate the whole of the top line of the body. So the nose, the gaze looks down, nose is down to the floor, the chest is down to the floor if you can, and your elbow is now parallel to the floor, and then we twist and open and look forwards. So try and do that in one movement. Yeah, everything rotates. You'll get a beautiful twist through your back. Feels quite tight, but really nice for opening everything up. Beautiful. As you come back to center, just checking in on those shoulders, checking in you've got a nice long neck. So this is your first option. You can probably feel the weight going through the wrist. You can probably feel the work that that's doing to your shoulders. Make sure your wrist is your hand is sitting in a comfortable position. Feel free to bring it forwards or backwards. Okay, option 2. We're going to kind of move into a few different combinations here. So option 1, we just twist. Option 2, when we come forwards, we draw in through center and we lift the hips off the mat, and then we lower down, and then we twist again. So twist, down, up, lift, and lower. Okay, now those lifts are really hard, so you don't have to come too high off the floor. It might just be a case of hitching the hips away just to create the idea of the lift. Even thinking about lifting is a good place to start, or you might have a little bit more strength so you can lift all the way. Okay, this is option 2, so you can stick with this. Option 3, we combine the two, so we lift the hips off the floor and then we add the twist back in. So a real good challenge for that shoulder stability, the shoulder that is on the mat. Please be careful with this, give it a go, and if it doesn't feel right, drop down an option, not a problem. Lovely. Yeah, I'm seeing some really good combinations, beautifully done. Working hard. Okay, whichever option you are doing, you are here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good stuff. Come back to sit for me. Just give those shoulders a nice roll through. Tough one, but really well done. Let's swap over to the second side and see how we get on. Now, with these kind of exercises, it always surprises me how different sides really do feel a different challenge. So you might surprise yourself if you found the first side tricky. The second side might feel easier. Both sides might feel really hard, or you might feel great with these. You never know. So pressing into the floor, lifting the underside of your ribs, creating that space. Honestly, this is the most important thing. What's going on around the shoulder? Can you press down and be nice and strong? Always come back to this. This is where we start. When you're ready, hand behind the head. Second side now. Set up your breathing, so nice breath in and then exhale, twist. And again, get that idea of a line drawn down your forehead, your nose, between your lips, down your chin, down the middle of your neck, down your breastbone, following the line of your spine. And that line is rotating, so everything is moving in sync. Lovely. Let's go straight into our options now. We don't need to waste any time. Okay, so second option for those of you that want to, we add the side bend in between, lift and lower the hips, and then we twist. And as I say, you might find this side a little bit easier. So go for the challenge. You never know unless you try. And then if it doesn't work, you can always step things back down. Okay, and then your third option is hips stay lifted, and we work on the twist, combining that movement. Now, through all of these, let's really connect in with the center. So tummy drawn to spine, gently creating that corset around your spine, that central core for all of these challenging movements that we are adding on top. You've got 6 more. Well done. Beautifully done. 4 more. 3 more. That's it. Breathing through. 2 more. And 1. Super. Come back to the center and give those shoulders a roll, those arms a little bit of a shake out. Feel free to hang out on your mat and stretch a little bit longer if you need to. But hopefully all of that twisting, even though it was challenging, has left you feeling a little bit looser and a little bit lighter from where you started.